KBG Missoula, you're listening to Missing 中国. Today, our language theme is the 109th element in the periodical table, which is Meitnerium. And in Chinese, it's Mai. And I'll use Mai, meaning wheat, the plant, the crop, wheat, as the theme. So, Mr. C, can you relate it to any movies?
Well, when you say wheat and then you ask me if I can relate it to movies, only one movie comes to mind. That is the incredibly cheesy but still wonderful to watch 1986 film Hoosiers, which is based upon the Milan basketball team, a tiny little basketball team from a tiny little town in Indiana that won the state championship somewhere in the 1950s. The film starred Gene Hackman and Barbara Hershey. And it's an especially interesting film. The reason that it makes me think of wheat is because you always see wheat in this movie, because Hollywood thinks that Indiana is one giant wheat field because nobody from Hollywood has ever actually been to Indiana. But anyway, I was in the movie Hoosiers. So, yes, I was in the scenes in Hinkle Fieldhouse at the end of the movie when I was in the 8th grade. So look for me very carefully in those scenes. Pause your DVD and use your magnifying glass and blow up the image. See if you can find Mr. C, the DJ, as an 8th grader dressed up like a greaser from the 1950s.
Very interesting. So since you don't believe Indiana is about wheat, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think instead?
Well, Indiana's about many things. One thing that people don't know about Indiana is that it has many different terrains. It's hard to believe that. There was a glacier that flattened the top part of the state. So that's where most of the flat farmland that you see and that's actually more in the middle of the state, the flat farmland. When you get to the top of the state, you have the Rust Belt portions like Gary and South Bend, where you have factories, old steel mills and whatnot. And then on the bottom part of the state, suddenly you have the hilly terrain that you're used to seeing in southern Ohio and Kentucky. That whole, it's the western part of the Appalachian and Rocky Mountains. And so suddenly things get very hilly. And there's a lot of different cultures in Indiana. Many people don't know. There was a communist town in Indiana. I think it's called New Haven. It's a communist experiment, like all communist experiments. It didn't work, but it's still an interesting thing to think about in Indiana. Indiana has a lot of negative associations, but there are many more positive things that happen in Indiana, that you can experience in Indiana, and that have come from Indiana.
Very interesting. Thank you. So the movie again is called?
It's called Hoosiers.
Oh, very nice. Okay, thank you for the recommendation. Everybody enjoy.